brand should be 360 fashion. And I'm like, why 360 fashion? And then like, I mean, when you talk about fashion, you like the all-round aspect, ensuring that everybody is involved. Nobody's left behind. You understand? And I think as I've grown, it's not only just about people, but also our planet. So that's always been my something that I've had deep passion for. So I'm really happy to be here. But before we start, I want to hear from you. I think I heard a bit of that from one of us here. What comes to your mind when you hear about sustainable fashion? Okay, please help me with my slides. Thank you.
Okay.
What comes to mind when you hear sustainable fashion? What is flying through your mind? What exactly are you thinking about? Someone said, you talk about only upcycling. Well, very true, very correct. But I want to just hear, when you hear sustainable fashion, what comes to your mind? Do we use the raise hand button or we just speak? I would like this class to be very interactive, please.
Hello.
Okay, Godwin. Minky, Godwin.
Okay, what comes to mind when I hear sustainable fashion? A couple of
Yeah.
things. We have zero waste, how to reduce waste, because we have based on my observation, I'm always meeting tailors. While
Mm,
cutting, there are a lot of fabrics that go to waste. We have upcycling, like one of us mentioned earlier. We also have
mm,
another aspect of sustainability is how wear can an outfit can be reused for different purposes, because most of the times in fashion we have a wedding dress, you do an ashwabi for a wedding, and that's the only day you're ever going to wear it in your life. You don't get to
yeah.
wear it again. So this is what I think when I hear fashion sustainability, and I've read up on fashion waste, and I we are one of the major contributors of waste in the world, because a lot
Very,
of
very.
clothings are not biodegradable and all of that, so it affects our planet at the end of the day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Minky. That was beautiful. Destiny.
Okay, for me, sustainable fashion, I feel sustainable fashion has to do with making clothes that would stand the test of time and that will not harm the environment, and those in the production process too are treated fairly. I think that's what I feel sustainable fashion is.
Sorry, I didn't get
Thank you.
that, but those in the production.
Process are treated fairly, like those that are working from the fabric making before it becomes clothes. That everybody is paid well based on their standard or the environment they live in, as opposed to sweat houses and all that, like sweatshops. Yes, it's called sweatshops, where people are underpaid and work more. That's in fast fashion.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Any other person? Any other person? Well, definitely, you're both correct, to be very honest. When you talk about sustainable fashion, reduction of waste, right? Then also protecting
Yes,
people that work
yes,
in fashion. Can
we
you hear
can
me?
hear you.
Okay, so I said you talk about reduction of waste, you talk about protecting the people that work in fashion, you also talk about protecting the planet, right? Talk about protecting the planet, because I mean, the natural resources that we use in production comes from the planet. And I think, was it yesterday? Yes, that they said we've used up the Earth's resources for this year, and it came earlier. Normally, I think it comes in October, but it's now in July.
Yes.
So we're working on borrowed resource. Whenever I interact with facts from sustainable fashion or sustainability entirely, I'm usually intrigued and amazed as to how things are changing very rapidly. And I'm always like, okay, despite all the information that keeps going out, why does it look like nothing is being done? To be very honest, I think in as much as we sensitize, I think people have not fully digest the whole idea of sustainability, really. Well, that's why we're here. So I think for some people, they would say using recycled materials, buying from Okrika. I think I saw a conversation today between Tubo and somebody else, and she was disposing the fact that, oh, buying from Okrika self is not even sustainability, especially from the African context, because these materials that are being imported here, they are not even durable, right? And then from the lens of an African fashion designer or an African fashion creative, we already practice sustainability. The materials we use, Adire and the rest, they are made sustainably. Do you understand? So like, I'm telling us to abandon what we are doing to now embrace your Okrika. That is the thrift that imported here, that dumped here. It's almost like, what exactly is this sustainability? You understand? So, but before I go into sustainability, I want to talk a bit about my journey, right? How I got into fashion and then into sustainable fashion. So when I was much younger, just like Minky said, I knew that I wanted to work in fashion. I just knew that I wanted to do something in fashion. Whenever you talk about fashion, I was always very excited about it. But I knew that I did not have a particular direction I wanted to go. And you were not going to blame me, or would I blame anybody here? Because if you look at the amount of resources that we have online in regards to that, if you don't have a community that continuously supply you those resources, you would be very clueless, very, very clueless. I once followed on the story of the founder of Business of Fashion, Iman, right? There was something he said. He said when he wanted to get into fashion, he realized that it was a very hard industry to break into. There were not so many resources, and he was like, why? Why is it so hard to break into this industry? You understand? Especially the business side of it. Not just, oh, okay, we wear clothes. No, the business side of it. Because I mean, when you look at it from the business side of it, you see that there are so many actors aside the designers that we know. And that was what birthed Business of Fashion. And so he knew that he needed to fill in that gap. And that's one of the things I always know, that when you want to get into something, the first thing you do is ask questions. Why is this like this? What is currently here that is not available? And how do I come in? Because all of those things give you an idea as to where you will fit in. You understand? And like I said, my thought around that then was probably just design, to be very honest. Design, clothes. Or if you think about fashion, you just think about the people that either make fabrics or sell fabrics or make clothes. It was never outside of that. But I was like, there have to be more. You understand? And especially at that time where I think if we look at 10 years back, fashion is not even talked about career path as it is in this century, even if we're still not there yet, especially in Nigeria and in Africa, we're still not there in terms of career paths. But 10 years back, you can't tell your dad that you want to do fashion journalism as a Nigerian student. How now? How? The funny thing is, I even had what I originally wanted to do was psychology, and fashion at that time was still like a side, something that I just loved on the side. Do you understand? So, but I eventually went for computer science, and I think for the first 2 years, it was something that I was genuinely enjoying. But when it comes to making projects, now, for you to also know that you're sort of in a career space that you should be, you will become a solution provider. When it comes to making projects, coming up with solutions, I was not very enthusiastic from the tech side of things. I was not enthusiastic. So I was doing my assignments and all, but it wasn't giving me joy. Like, it wasn't something that, I'm a very passionate person. So I like when something is giving me sleepless nights, I'm up and about, I'm doing it, and when I'm done, I feel like, yes, I was able to solve a problem in this particular space. Do you understand? So I wasn't getting all of that adrenaline from fashion and from computer science. But I think the game changer was in my final year. I was in Paraco at that time. And apparently they asked our final projects, before that, they asked us to do a research. And when I looked around, I was very much fascinated about their dress sense, their dress culture. Coming from a place like Nigeria, you notice that when it comes to fashion, we don't joke with fashion, right? But then for our day-to-day activities, our day-to-day wears, we wear, like, see what I'm wearing now. I'm wearing a suit, right? It's not made with any African print and all. But over there, it was different. Morning, afternoon, and night, they were always rocking their traditional attires. And I was intrigued by it. Do you understand? Like, what makes them want to embrace this aspect of their culture each day, each time? It was like, oh, this was more than fashion to them. It was their identity. You understand? But I noticed also that they were not very loud about it, right? And I noticed that it was due to gaps in communication. How did I do that? I put out questionnaires. I asked a couple of people. I went to stalls, people selling fabrics, people making clothes, and all of that. And I knew that there was communication gap. And so for my final year project, I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to see how a social community will help these people collaborate better, have access to information, and scale better, network better, get to reach each other better, and see if that's good, how that would translate, how that would translate into helping them scale better. Do you understand? So by the time I started working on that project, I became much more excited. And I remember I interacted with one of their pioneers in the industry there. He holds a fashion event called the Kuburu Fashion Days. And I asked him some certain questions like, okay, at this junction now, why does it look like people are not interested?
Hello, I can't hear anything. Is it just network or it's me?
Yes, I think it's a network. She'll be back soon.
All right, thank you.
I'm so sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, but in general, what I understood from that was that I was very much interested in fashion advocacy. You understand? I was very much interested in fashion advocacy. I was interested in not only the production of fashion pieces, but also the distribution of it. How does it move from raw materials to the hands of a consumer? Do you understand? So in 2023, okay, before 2023, in 2022, I had some thinking, and then I was like, okay, you know what? Let me start from somewhere. Let me start from getting knowledge. And I joined a fashion community called Midra Hub. And when I got into that place, I started to first of all understand, okay, what exactly happens in this industry? Like, is it just fashion runways? I love runways, but I'm like, there should be more than that now. Like, what is really happening here? You understand? How do we promote the art of fashion and all? And I saw my first opportunity, which was to join a research fellowship. And at that time, I knew that I had strong research skills to some level, and I was like, okay, I think this is something that I would do. Besides, it will make me learn more about fashion from a deeper perspective, that is aside what they show us on runways. And so I joined the Council for International African Fashion Education. They were hosting a fellowship then, which was the AYFL, African Young Fashion Leader, and it was literally a research fellowship. So, and at that time, our work was tied around the history of African fashion. So for me, I would say that that was good timing. That was really good timing for me. I remember my first assignment was to research about the background of wax print. And I started to know more. I know when you talk about wax print, most people would say wax print actually Ankara. Most people would think it originated from Africa, but actually I traced it back to the Netherlands, and I started to learn so much about how that has evolved from that time till now. So that was a very good starting point for me, joining that research institute. And then from then I got to see more opportunities like the Next Gen Assembly, which was tied more into sustainable fashion, but not just for people, but also for our planet. So since then, I would say that I've just been learning on the job. I have been Googling terms a lot, reading reports, watching panels, and just learning to build my own voice, right? But when I started, there was no roadmap, but I had a vision in mind. Okay, I had a vision, and particularly, I just wanted fashion to be more accessible and also for people to understand the concept of fashion even better. So right now, I would say that all of this has given me an opportunity to learn more about fashion research and also learn how to help brands scale with impact and integrity. You understand? So back to what the actual discussion here is. Before we get started on what sustainable fashion is, the question here is, what exactly is sustainable fashion, right? And basically, it's just an approach to designing, producing, distributing, and consuming clothes in ways that they are environmentally responsible, socially just, and economically fair. So it's like you said, it's not just about the eco-friendly fabrics that we use. It is about how we also treat people and the planet across the entire fashion value chain. Okay? But I want you to look at 4 key words here, which we have as designing, producing, distributing, and consuming. Designing, producing, distributing, and consuming. Those are the 4 key words. So when you talk about sustainable fashion, you have to look at it from all of those 4 areas. Okay? And when you talk about the designing aspect, how are you creating clothes that last? Not just in terms of trends. So if you're a fashion illustrator, you're very much responsible for how clothes are being made. When you take up your pen to say you want to design a fabric or you want to design a style, what is at the back of your mind? What kind of what impact do you want? How do you want people to feel, first of all, when they interact with your design, when they wear it? What kind of materials are you going to use to create that? Is it going to be sustainable? Is it going to be based off of just trend, something that somebody's going to wear once and then they are done? What happens? What is the afterlife of that design that you're creating? Okay. And then if you are in producing, the people that are going to be working with and for you, do you consider them? Are they going to be paid fairly, treated with respect? Will you respect their time? Would you respect their art, their creativity? Also, are you going to be polluting the earth while you're doing that? Or will you put it at the back of your mind that you're also going to try and reduce waste? What kind of dyes are you going to use for your production? What kind of raw materials will you use? So you have to have all of that at the back of your mind, okay? Then if you work in distribution, right? How do you want to promote thoughtful consumption? For example, now you are a fashion content creator and then you are promoting Shein. Sorry, I'm looking at you with bombastic side eye. Bombastic side eye. You're like, oh, come get ready with me as I do my Shein haul. Why? 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 So don't think you are out of the conversation. No. If you work in fashion journalism, what kind of brands are you supporting? What kind of content are you writing? How are you helping to promote consumption? Are you part of the people that encourage fast fashion? How do you educate people enough about what it is to live sustainably in terms of fashion? You understand? So you have to have that at the back of your mind if you work in distribution, okay? Then for consuming, which I think everybody here, I mean, nobody is here without clothes. We're all wearing clothes. I'm wearing an accessory, okay? So how do you buy? How are you buying with care, or are you just buying more? You understand? How are you buying with care? And I think whoever is in design, producing, and distributing affects the people, affect how we consume. Let me not say the people, because we all consume fashion, okay? But the people in design, the people in production, and the people in distribution affect how we consume. That's why whenever I hear about Shein halls and all of that, and about people who promote fast fashion, right? I don't really blame people who patronize, because I'm like, why is it even in their hands in the first place? That means there's something missing from that value chain, from when he left design, production, distribution. Why is it even in their hands in the first place? So I don't even want to look at it from that aspect. I think although now that is already in existence, that's why we are here in classes like this, in places like this, to educate ourselves. You understand? But I mean, not many people know about it, okay? But when it comes to sustainable fashion, like I said, this 4 aspects: design, production, distribution, and consumption, are usually put into light. Now, I want us to identify the actors. We have the fashion workers, that is the people who directly work in fashion. And I want to tell you that no matter whatever you're doing, as long as you're producing value in fashion, one form or the other, you have the right to call yourself a fashion worker. Okay, I noticed that one of the things we struggle with in especially this space, not just this space, globally, people struggle to call themselves fashion because we're still in a space whereby we don't value our art enough, right? So if you work in fashion, that is, you provide value in fashion, you are a fashion worker, okay? And then every other person are fashion consumers. But those are the 2 major actors here. So the designers, the tailors, the illustrators, stylists, artisans, marketers, photographers, everyone who creates in fashion, okay? Everyone that works in fashion, you provide value one way or the other, either in design, in consumption, in distribution. You are a fashion worker, okay? So we all participate in fashion, and we all have a role to play when it comes to sustainability. Yes, we all have a role. And I want us to explore some career pathways now that we have in sustainable fashion. So if you're here, okay, or you don't know yet, but for people who work in design, right, you will interact more with either fabrics, right? We have fashion illustrators, we have fashion illustrators, we have fabric makers, right? So if you work in design, you need to avoid trend chasing. You need to avoid trend chasing, okay? There's one designer that I really love. She actually started as a fashion illustrator, Claire Idera. She has her own fashion house now, Cladini Studio. I think one of her work that I like is her bubu, and I love how diverse that bubu is. You can wear it on literally anything. I even saw a guy rocking it. I'm like, okay, this is actually beautiful. You understand? So something that that can be repurposed, restyled in multiple ways. That is a designer that puts so many thoughts into what they design. Okay, use desktop fabrics, like there's this fashion brand Boyido. They use recycled denims. OMG. And the fact that it turns out so beautiful is something literally mind-blowing. Okay, you can be a fashion designer in this side. You can be a pattern maker, you can be an illustrator, you can be a textile designer. Okay, you can be a textile designer. So these are some career paths that you can explore if you want to work in design. Then if you want to work in production, then you have to have it at the back of your mind that putting sustainability in mind means you have to source locally. Okay, source locally. Then also be community conscious when you're producing. Train artisans, right? And I think that's something that we really need in fashion. A community that encourage us to be more and do better. Okay, and then also find ways to reduce textile waste. You can be a tailor, you can be a manufacturer, you can be a garment technician, you can be a fashion supplier. There's this guy Femi Handbags. I think one thing I love about his own is that he trains artisans, and then every handbag that is crafted with precision. Okay, and then I think also aside that is the story that you get to tell while you're doing that. Okay, then if you work in distribution, please don't prioritize promoting slow fashion. Prioritize. Let me tell you, anyone who works in distribution here, I think, right, we have so much work here. Now, most trends that are being pushed out is because the people who work in distribution have wired our minds to think like that. Who are the people that work in distribution? We're talking about fashion writers and bloggers, content creators, PRs, marketers, comms leads, retailers. Now, it is what they say that we buy into. It is what they make us feel like, oh, this is it. It is how much they educate us that makes us feel like, oh, this could work. Ike here is a master in fashion marketing, and I'm sure she understands what I mean. It is how we position whatever product that comes from fashion that makes people want to buy and tap into it. So you have so much work here. You have so much work here. A lot of people use storytelling these days to promote slow fashion. Tell us the story of how these clothes are made. Tell us how many, for example, you want to make a lehenga in India. People spend hours. You see those intricate designs. People spend 100 hours, like, multiple hours creating that design. And then do you think if I tell you that, okay, this is what this process was like, this is how many people were involved in making your design, these were some of the difficulties they faced, these were some of the memories they made. Trust me, you will cherish that piece. You will literally cherish that piece. You understand? That piece would be something very special to you because you're not just looking at a piece, but you're looking at something that was made with love. Okay? And you're looking at all the people that were involved in making the dress or the accessory that you're putting on. You understand? So, if you work in distribution, please, there's a huge responsibility on you, on the kind of content you push out there. Okay, you shape the minds of people. So yes, always try to promote slow fashion and also be as transparent as you can be. Like I mentioned, you can be a retailer, you can be a fashion writer or blogger, you can be a content creator, or you can, work in PR for fashion brands and all. You understand? So you don't need to buy new clothes to be sustainable. Yes, let's talk about we now, the other actor. I said the first actors, we have the fashion workers. Now let's come to us, the consumers, right? Which is every one of us. You don't always have to buy new clothes to be sustainable. Okay, yes, we have brands that are into sustainable fashion and all, but it starts from inside. First of all, how many clothes do you have? Can you go into your wardrobe and see, okay, this clothes, where am I right now? For example, I did a declutter recently. I looked at my clothes. I was like, okay, I've not worn this particular clothes for a period of time. They're just sitting in my wardrobe, right, doing nothing. And I believe there's so many other people that would really love to have these pieces because they're still very nice. What do? Rather than me just being there and gathering dust, package it, clean it, and give it to someone that will love that dress as much as you love it. Also, when you're giving out clothes, I think it's very important to put into thought who is receiving that clothes that I'm giving out. Will they love it as much as I love it? If you don't have that at the back of your mind, that means you know that you're not discarding something of value. That is what is happening with us right now, and why we have been turned to dump grounds. Okay, because they know that they're not giving something of value. So whoever gets that clothes, or whoever the clothes ends up in their hand, is not their business. Even if it ends up in landfills and beaches, it's not their business. Imagine your very favorite dress. You know how you feel whenever you wear that dress. Would you just carry it and give it to anybody? How would you feel if you're walking across the street, or you're walking beside the beach, and then you see your clothes dumped and scattered around? Like, I don't think you will feel good. Why? Because that clothes meant a lot to you. So clothes that you're not using again, and you believe can still be of use to other people, package it well, give it to them. Okay, then if you still that, okay, of course, style changes, right? Clothes that you were wearing 10 years back. Oh no, 10 years is so far. Clothes you were wearing 3, 4, 5 years back, you can pick it up and find ways to restyle it. For example, I had an ashoke. It was part of an exercise I did last year. I had an ashoke that I've had, I think, since I was 7, 8 years old, and I really, really loved that ashoke. No, as a then, I didn't really like the ashoke, because my mom will dress us like, when you're small now, we don't want to wear those clothes that make us look much older. You understand? But I think as I started to grow and I started to have love more for African fabrics and all, I was like, okay, I just kept it in my wardrobe. I'm like, oh, I'm going to find a way to restyle this and rewear it. And I did. Last year when I traveled, I turned it into a belt, and it was part of my fashion piece. And not just that, it's a story that is inside it to say that this piece that I'm wearing, I have had it for the last 10 years. And that is the beauty about our fabrics. 10 whole years. Can you get a cloth from Shein, and for 10 years you would not see holes peeping through it? For 10 whole years it was still looking new, shiny, and very beautiful. Okay, so you can also repair a torn fabric. I think some designers now, if you have probably a patch, they can use is it what they call that? Is it brocade? There's something they call that. Someone help me. There's something that they use to patch it, and then it just gives it a whole different style. Okay, repurpose into something. If it was probably a skirt and you think it can be better as a top, my sister is a fashion designer, and she's currently growing in that. She will just go and take her old fabric and find ways to, probably an old jean, turn it into a denim skirt or a denim top, and I'll just be looking at her. You understand? So I would like to, for everyone here, I would like to tell you that think of your clothes or accessory as a friend. Okay, when they are worn, or when probably you don't just toss them away like that, maybe because they are not trending. No, you would always treat them with care. Okay, so find ways to constantly reimagine the pieces you have to give them another life. Okay, to give them another life. Now, another question that we have here is, why do you want to get into sustainable fashion? What is in there for you? Why do you want to get into sustainable fashion? You have to ask yourself certain questions. But before I continue, have I been communicating? If I have, just give me a reaction. We'll have time for questions yet. Give me a reaction. Let me know that I've been communicating.
There's
Why
been
can't I
lots
see
of
my
reactions.
reactions?
Can you see them? They are reacting
Yes.
a lot.
Thank you, Destiny. Thank you. All right. So yes, this is a very big question. Remember, we've spent the last couple of minutes learning about sustainable fashion, right? What exactly is this sustainable fashion? And I was very intentional about mentioning some career pathways so that you can start to see yourself and decide which actor you want to be in this industry in terms of sustainable fashion. Okay, but now, why do you want to get into it? Especially because if you don't ask yourself this question, you are going to get lost, or you find yourself whining around for a very long time. So for you now, is this a passion project? Is this something of passion? There is no other side attached to it yet. Is this a passion project? When I mean by passion project, probably you don't like how much waste how much fashion is contributing to waste in the world right now, and you feel like you want to be part of the movement, you want to help sensitize people, you want to help drive action, you just want to join an NGO that is already doing this and see how you can better the lives of people that work in fashion, and also reduce the negative impact of fashion. If that is what you want to do, that's fine. I'll talk more about that later. Then, are you here for impact, income, or both? Are you here for the impact aspect of it, or are you here for both? So you're like, okay, I want that this industry is able to, pay me back. Okay, yes, I'm going to work in this industry sustainably, but I want that at the end of the day, I'm able to be paid back. There's nothing wrong with that. Do you want to volunteer? Do you want to educate? Or do you want to build a business? So knowing your why will help you know how to begin. Okay, so I think this is something that we should all do. Sit down with yourself. Why am I really getting into this? What exactly is in in it for me right now or in the next 5 years? What exactly is going on here? Okay, and I would like to say that if you want to create impact and you want to just volunteer, first of all, of course, you need to align yourself with people already doing it. You need to align yourself with people already doing it. We have a lot of tools and resources these days that's going to help us bring that out. Okay, you can join platforms like Fashion Revolution Nigeria. They host webinars, and they have resources that can give you an idea of where to start. There's also Remake Our World. There's also Fashion Take Action, Clean Clothes Campaign. I love interacting with all of those, with all of those organizations. We have the Up Network. I believe that thanks to Up Network, you're having access to not just an ebook that helps you get started in sustainable fashion, but also a webinar like this. There's also Slow Factory. So all of this, there are many more, really. There are many more, and each of these organizations have different aspects that they tackle. For example, Fashion Take Action. They are more in fashion justice inclined. Yes, they are those people, them and Remake. They are those people that will bring, like, as in, they will bring you to the table and force you to have that discussion. I think we have so many fashion, big fashion runways now that have banned certain materials from their, like, you see it on their runway. You understand? And that's because these organizations, they put it upon themselves to first of all go and collect the necessary data, sign the necessary signatures, interact with the people that is directly impacting and affecting, and telling them this is what is going on and we need for you to put a stop to this. You understand? So first of all, which aspect are you interested in? Is it fashion justice? Fashion justice can be either for the people or the planet, or is it probably creating better? You understand? I think I'm trying to remember the name of the organization, but yeah, basically, if you want to create impact or volunteer, you need to join organizations like this and follow up on the kind of impact that they're creating. We also have the All Foundation. They're also tied to fashion justice as well. Then also you can start a blog or YouTube channel to educate people in sustainable fashion. But I think before you do that, you have to also have knowledge first. You need to have knowledge to be able to give back knowledge. Okay, but yes, you can start a blog to start to write about. See, you can even start to write about where you are at now, how you see fashion, and then as you educate yourself better, you also carry your audience along with you. Oh, I learned something new today. I learned something new today. I learned something new today, and you share it. Oh, we are all newcomers in this industry. We don't know what's going on, but we're on a journey on learning what it is like to live sustainably. Do you understand? So you can do that. You can also find ways to spotlight people that's already doing the work. Okay, people that are already doing sustainable fashion. Now, when I see people that are already doing sustainable fashion, please, I believe at this stage, we're not looking at just designers and people in production. No. The storytellers, for example, we have people that work in fashion justice as a person. She's a fashion lawyer, Benis Asien. she believes so much that the creative work of a fashion creative should be heavily protected, and she has institutions, and I think currently the Fashion Law and Business Conference is hosting right now, and they educate fashion creatives about how to protect their work. So that is somebody that is in sustainable fashion. Okay, so it can be a person, not just in production, but in all the chains that I mentioned. Okay, even also the people consuming, like someone who you know that they wear sustainable fashion. You understand? Maybe a prominent figure that is probably always on international spaces, and the kind. Okay, there was one, I think, when Bridgerton came out. I'm trying to remember her name. She wore a jacket and she styled it multiple times for different press conference, teaching you that you don't always have to wear new clothes because you have a new event. I don't know if you get what I mean. You understand? So ensure that your mind is not stuck into the person just producing. No. Feel free to spotlight anybody that is working in either design, production, distribution, or even consuming. Okay. Now, if you want to profit or build a career, I think for this you have to have a value to give. Now, if you currently have skill sets in tailoring or resale, and you have the eco-conscious mindset, you can turn that into a business. Okay. If you know how to upcycle materials, you are able to see fabrics and accessories and give them an afterlife and make people pay for it. You can go ahead and do that. Okay. If you feel like you know how to do research, put content together, and people will be triggered to take action, you can sell ebooks, you can sell workshops, you can sell events. Okay. And very interestingly, the global data now for sustainable fashion shows that it is expected to grow from 7.8 billion to 15.2 billion by 2030. So there's an opportunity here. Okay, so if you want to make money from it, if you want to monetize your knowledge in any of the chains, then feel free to do so. Okay, so we're going to have a pause here. And we're going to reflect together. And I would like to hear from us that have been joining us so far, how we feel about what we've heard, and then we'll talk more on that. So who has something to share? You can use the raise hand button. All right, Ike.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing listening to you. So one thing that stood out for me is that you should start based on purpose, right? You don't have to have design skills and all of that. Yes, of course. But another thing apart from that is to start based on your purpose for why you want to work in this space. Is it that you don't like the way things are being done here? Maybe you don't like the way waste is being handled, or you don't like the way intellectual property is being stolen. So what is your purpose? Or for instance, maybe you just like to teach, you like to just impact knowledge. That is a purpose. And you can just begin to do something along the lines of education. So I think that's a really good place to start. First of all, what is your purpose? And then find a way to tailor it into sustainability, which is something that maybe you're passionate about. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ike. Yes, start on purpose and find ways to tailor it. And I think when you talk about purpose, is that solution or that problem you want to solve, right? And then what current skill sets do I have right now to help me start to work on that? Okay. So yes, Holiness.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, first of all, I want to say thank you for this opportunity. Okay, I've actually been looking for a means on how to build myself in this fashion thing. Fashion has always been a passion for me,
Mm.
right from when I was a kid, like right from when I was a child. My mom used to tell me that I used to scatter our house with a lot of papers, even drawing on the wall and everything. And basically, where I am right now, knowing I'm not really exposed in it. I've been doing research all by myself, teaching myself the few things that I need to know. But listening to you right now actually is encouraging. And few of the things that I've been missing out, I don't really have an idea on. I I'm just here with my pen and my paper, my book, sorry, writing them down, things that I need to work on, and I'm really grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Es-
Thank
especially
you.
especially sorry, especially the part where you said something, you spoke on the actors of fashion, and then you
Yeah.
said, what material do I, as a fashion illustrator, I've not really considered, although I know I follow a particular lady, Zoe Hong, on fashion and everything. But then I've
Mm.
not really considered as a fashion illustrator the materials that will actually last.
Mm.
If like when I'm drawing, I should also put that in mind. When I'm
Mm.
illustrating, when I want to, I should put. I've not really had that thoughts in my head before. But just today, I saw where I've been missing it. I just thought maybe fashion illustrating is just some to just draw something nice, and but massive fabrics will it last? Just it got to me, and I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for that feedback. Thank you. Yes, yes. We all have a role to play. If your design is going to allow people in production to not produce consciously or have to waste material while doing that, that means you that work in design, that means you're not designing sustainably. So thank you so much for picking that point. Thank you. Favor, Minky, Destiny. Would you like something to share?
Yeah. Thank you very much. This has really been like enlightening and very thinking for me. Everything makes everything is good. But I think I really agree with the part where you talked about thrift when you said like thrift is like the new gold now, like everybody's thrifting stuff, is buying thrift. And the most annoying part is how expensive the thing has gotten and all that. And it's how expensive it has gotten. And I don't feel like, yeah, I gravitate towards that. And I feel like if the government could have just done better, all these conversations we have about sustainability and all that, I feel like we can all do our part bit by bit, but if the government does not sink in, like the is it Copenhagen Fashion Week that did that thing? They did one thing where they said that there was a whole lot of rules that fashion designers have to agree with in
Yes.
sustainability before they could show their designs and all that. If Nigeria can get behind that, like first of all, let's stop importing okeka and all that. Like we are not hungry people and all that, and that's like really really cool. Yeah. Then when you also said something about our fabrics lasting forever and all that, yes, like there's also this thing I'm also very sad about, like the indigenous Adria and all that. We have the Chinese company importing prints and it's a lower quality and all that, and the government is still not doing anything about it. And these are all a whole lot of stuff. And I also like your four key stuff where you talked about design, production, distribution, and consumption.
Mm.
Like those are very, very important things to consider for something to last long. And I also like your illustration about the clothes like lasting for long. And that's the whole point of sustainable fashion. Like the clothes should last, but it should not cause problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Destiny. Thank you. You see this government issue, right? Ha! I think it's just right now that we're picking up. To be very very honest, I mean, for you to know how much involved that we are, can you go to our schools? Can you learn fashion properly in Nigeria? Let's start from there. You understand? Because most of these things are birthed from community. If people don't raise questions, right, nothing is going to be done. You understand? So we don't even have enough people to raise questions yet. Stand by it solidly and follow through till it becomes a policy. You understand? So it really starts from the grassroots, and I'm liking the fact that individually we're trying to educate ourselves better, but collectively we still have a long work to do. But it starts from now. It starts from the amount of information, and I think it gets to a point whereby you're like, okay, you know what? I don't think with the amount of knowledge I have and know, I think I can get one or two people to join me in this discussion, and before you know, it becomes something that transforms into a movement. So yeah, hopefully they listen, but we have so much work to do from our part. Anyway, thank you so much. Minky, do you have anything to add? Favor as well. I think Favor
Well,
joined us while we were on call.
I think you've said pretty much all I've come across with my small research that I do. I
Mm-hmm.
just have a habit of going on LinkedIn because for me I'm like, okay, even in fashion illustration, I'm like, okay, despite the fact that I don't have resources, as you spoke, you said something earlier that resonated with me, being in an environment that what you want to do is not properly being understood, considering our African background. So, I think, it all boils down, if there's anything I'll add, is in fact, you cannot even go outside what you said to put ourselves out there to volunteer, to always not look at where we are limited and instead look at what we could do to get to where we want to be. And that also includes the fashion industry with little we are doing. We might not have
Mm.
all the resources, but we can always try and think outside the box outside our limitations and just try and improve ourselves. For me, that's what I've been doing. I have a lot of limitations. I want to be looking at limitations, but I have my phone, I have access to the internet, and I do my best to make do with what I have. I'm doing the background work until the day I get the opportunity so that I will not be taken unawares.
Thank you very much, Minky. Favor, do you have anything to say?
Good afternoon, everybody. I
Good
joined
afternoon.
it. My phone was off, so immediately I had the opportunity to charge it. I just joined immediately. But then
Thank you for joining.
so grateful for this opportunity. I've learned a lot. Basically, talking about sustainable fashion. I like how you said something about the fact that we don't always have had our old wares. We can turn them into something new. We can make new products out of them and everything. I also like the fact that you spoke about, especially in terms of volunteering, right? I think, as Nikki said, access to information is one thing that, like, um inhibits a lot of people, and I'm very grateful for webinars like this, just to help people have understanding and have knowledge that these things actually exist, right? So I'm happy about the organizations and all organizations you actually mentioned. I wrote them down. I'll be checking them, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity to learn, even though I'm late. But yeah, thank you so much for putting this together.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Up Network. Thank you. Thank you all
Thank
for
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ike. Thank you for also sharing your reflections. Really grateful for that. And at least one way or the other, you feel like this webinar has benefited you. So we're just going to go over one step that I feel like each of us can take today. Because I believe if you're here, it's because you probably you want to get started, or you've been in it already, but you just want to know if you're on the right track. I think one question you should ask yourself is, which part of the fashion value chain resonates with me the most right now? Am I more attracted to design, production, distribution, or a combination of all of them? Okay, which part of the value chain resonates with me right now? Okay, then also, what skill do you already have that fits into it? What skill do you already have that fits into it? um Sometimes we don't recognize it, but we already have some of those skills. For example, if you work in design, you already probably know how to make sketches. You did not need to go to a fashion school to learn that. Okay, you already know how to make fashion sketches. You also know how to see things from a different perspective. You have an eye for things, to create life and all of that. If you if you work in maybe distribution, you know how to put content, you know how to tell stories, compelling stories. So just look at the current skills you have right now and the current resource that you have that you believe you can start to leverage on that. It can also help you to know, for example, in my own time, I knew that I had some writing skills. So getting into fashion research was not something that was far-fetched for me because I already enjoy doing it. In fact, I think around 2017, 2018, I had a fashion blog. If I go back to look at the things I was writing, I'm like, joy. Oh my God. And then I was feeling myself like, oh God, look at what I'm writing. I'm educating people about fashion, blah, blah, blah. But it was one way for me to start. And when they asked me some of my past work, I presented that. Oh, this is something that I've done. Okay. I also know how I'm also skillful with hands. I do fascinators and all. I make accessories. So like, look at the current skill set you have. It's going to help you align your vision. Then also, in terms of value, do you want income or just impact, or do you want both? One of the things we do as fashion workers, we undervalue our work, especially in this part of the world. Imagine something you self-taught yourself. You didn't have to go to school for it. You're like, I can just no, you don't need to underprice yourself for it. You understand? We undervalue our work a lot, and so when we don't like to talk about the money aspect of our work, no. If you're here for impact and you're here for income, you can do both. Okay, you can do both, but you just need the right resource to know how to channel you in that direction. Okay, and you wouldn't feel. For example, me talking about fashion 2 years back is different from how I'll talk about fashion and talk about fashion now, because I've grown. I've learned so much on this journey. I feel like I'm not even there. I feel like I've not even started, to be very honest. There's still so much that I want to learn and so much that I want to interact with, right? But still, I feel like the more knowledge I have, the more confident I am about my knowledge in fashion, and especially in the aspect of entrepreneurship, because that's I'm very much interested about the people that work in fashion and how they are able to scale in the industry as well as feel safe and protected. So you can start now with joining communities like this. Can I tell you something? I met Ike in CF, and from CF I was able to meet other people. Let me tell you how community works, especially if you don't have let me not just say Nigeria per se. For example, when we say school is scam, it's because we don't see things beyond school. Why are you in school? You're not just there to learn, you're there to make connections as well. You're there to interact, because no man is an island. Okay, so when you join organizations like this, you see things from other perspectives. You hear from different people. You're like, oh wow, I didn't even know this opportunity existed. Do you understand? You see opportunities that you may never have come across before, beyond borders. But if you just stay on your own with you and just Google, trust me, you may miss out on so many things that may not be captured in Google or any other AI resource at all. So join communities, you understand? Leverage on that. You would know who to ask questions, and when something go wrong, you know where to run to. You understand? So please, I feel like it's one of the ways to really get started. Okay, first, after you're done asking yourself those hard questions, you've tried to align yourself with, okay, this is what I want to do right now. Join a community that speaks that thing that is currently beating in your heart as what you want to do in fashion. Okay, you would see more people that would even teach you how to do whatever you're doing even better. So basically that. Yeah, I think one final advice I have is that start where you are. It is okay to not have it all figured out yet. Okay, it's okay to not have it all figured out. I'll say my own journey started from a point of confusion too. Started from not just confusion. I needed clarity. I had questions. Trust me, if you ask many fashion professionals, they will tell you the same thing. And then curiosity as well. But I would say joining the right community not just encouraged me to be better, but taught me what it is like to have the next steps in front of me. Okay, so it was almost like as I joined one community, they added 5 steps to my staircase, and I was able to move even faster. I mean, I've been in this industry professionally I joined 2023, this is 2025, so in the last 2 years. And I mean, I've learned so much, met many amazing people in these last 2 years. Trust me, I put it heavily on community. Okay, so join the fashion forum, take a free course. You can go to Udemy, you can go to I'm trying to remember. I think I'll probably give to Ike. There are so many fashion inclined schools, especially in UK, that offer free fashion courses in different aspects, not just fashion design, fashion journalism, and also in sustainable fashion per se. So write about something that moves you, volunteer at a fashion event. Trust me, something will start up something. Okay, so the sustainable fashion, I think, need thinkers right now. You need people that are creators and people that are change makers, and I know that there's a space for each and every one of us in sustainable fashion. So thank you very much. The different, and also I want to say one final thing: the difference between you and I think everybody should be a sustainable fashion worker. Everybody should be or work in sustainable fashion. Everybody should work in sustainable fashion. Okay, because it means that we are prioritizing the people, we're prioritizing the planet, and the people that work in fashion. So yeah, if we don't have any questions, I think I'm done for today. Thank you so much, Ike. Do you have questions, Holiness?
Thank you very much. It's been amazing. I was busy trying to capture video clips of some of the sessions, of some of like some parts of the sessions, because it was just so good. I was like, no, you guys are missing out. Like people that are not here. So thank you so much. Thank you very much. If you have questions, please raise up your hand so that we can just get into the questions. And for the resources, I would remind you so that you can send them and I can just get it to them. Okay, great. Destiny, you can go ahead.
Just one question. You said you met Ike where?
Council
Okay,
of International African Fashion Education, CF.
yes.
So she mentioned it at the beginning of her slides. Let me just see. I see I have her slides on. Let me just go back to it. So we met at Council of International African Fashion Education. Yeah, you can see it here. CF.
Okay,
So
international fashion education. Okay, thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. You can just Google them, or you can check LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You can check Instagram. You find them, and you can join. I don't know if they have. I'm not sure if they've had any other set since our set since we ended,
Yes, I
but you
think
can just
so.
follow them. Okay, yeah. So you can, but they
All
will.
right.
So you can just follow
Thank
them
you.
to keep up. Okay. Holiness, I think your hands are raised. Is it from the last time, or do you have something else to say? Oh, the hands are down now. Okay, great. Perfect. So I guess nobody has any further questions. Okay. So if you want to interact with Joy from the emails we sent, we already have hyperlinked our social media to a name. But you know what? I'm going to, when I send the recording, I'm going to send you our details again so you can follow her on LinkedIn, maybe send her an email if you know want to link up with her later on. So thank you very much, Joy. I am very, 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 very grateful. I'm sure that all our attendees are also very grateful. You've heard them say they are very grateful. So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. Your slides are beautiful, they are breathtaking, your knowledge exceptional. I'm really grateful. Thank you so much. So thank you very much, everyone. You can expect the recording next week in your inbox. So in the absence of
Thank you so
further
much.
questions, we are ending this call. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.